It is our responsibility to reflect and to overcome our negative feelings about pedophiles and to treat them with the same respect we treat other people with. We should accept that pedophiles are people who have not chosen their sexuality and who, unlike most of us, will never be able to live it out freely if they want to lead an upright life. We should accept that pedophilia is a sexual preference.
Let's dive into the heart of the matter of today's video. Woke TED Talker declares that pedophilia should be legal. You won't believe what I witnessed recently, folks. Picture this, a towering trans individual standing at an impressive 6'5", towering over the girls on the opposing team. Now, I'm not one to shy away from the truth, and I've got to tell you, this trans athlete didn't just participate in the game, no, they caused some serious harm. 3 girls from the opposing team, injured to the point where they couldn't continue playing before halftime. The situation became so dire that the coach had no choice but to forfeit the game. The team was already down players, and it just wasn't safe to field 5 players for the entire second half. Can you fathom the fear that gripped those girls? It's not just hearsay, there's video evidence, and I even took the liberty to make a YouTube video shedding light on this concerning incident. The trans athlete in question not only played aggressively, but went so far as to physically harm one of the girls, causing her to clutch her lower back in obvious pain. It looked like she might have broken her back. Why? Because some individual wanted to identify as a girl and compete against them. Now, I usually try to maintain composure on the airwaves speaking to the camera, but these are my unfiltered thoughts. I make a conscious effort to be sensitive to individuals facing challenges related to gender identity, but when one's pursuit of personal fulfillment involves harming others, that's where I draw the line. It's disheartening to witness someone prioritize their own desires over the safety and well-being of others. I can't just ignore it. Now, let's discuss the broader issue here. I understand the struggles people face when grappling with their gender identity, but when you're willing to inflict harm on others to achieve your personal goals, that's where I take issue. If you want to transition, that's your choice, but consider the impact on those around you. Take, for instance, the potential emotional toll on your father. Transitioning from a son to a daughter might hurt him deeply. Do you care about that? It's a valid question, and if you don't care, then why should others care about your journey? I urge you to think beyond your own perspective. Your decisions can have a ripple effect, especially within your family. Your father, who has been there for you for 15 years, witnessing your growth and development, might find it challenging to comprehend such a significant transformation. You are part of a family legacy, and suddenly changing your identity can be difficult for those who have invested so much in you. This brings me to a broader point about selfishness in society. It's not just about gender identity, it extends to issues like abortion and sexual orientation. Some individuals prioritize their desires over the potential consequences for others. I want to emphasize that I'm not demonizing everyone who faces these challenges, but there's a need for a broader perspective. Consider abortions. Not every woman seeking one is a villain, but it's essential to think beyond personal desires. Maybe the man involved deserves a say in the decision, and maybe the potential child's life matters too. It's about living a life that considers more than just personal needs. The same applies to coming out as gay. Think about how it might affect your family legacy. Is your family's history more important than personal gratification? I'm not here to judge, but there's a growing concern about the sexualization of certain movements. Pride parades, for instance, often involve explicit displays that go beyond celebrating love and acceptance. It's important to address the potential fetishization and deviancy that may be creeping into these spaces. Attend a pride parade, and you might notice it's not just a celebration of love. There are elements that could be considered sexualized. Let's be real, folks. Some individuals exploit these movements for their own sexual gratification. I'm not saying every gay person is involved in this, but there's a need to acknowledge and address the issue. We must distinguish between genuine expressions of identity and the sexual deviancy that can sometimes infiltrate these spaces. And yes, there's even a clip circulating where someone talks about pedophilia, reinforcing concerns that some disturbing elements may be seeping into these movements. We've been warning about these issues for a while, and it's not about listening to a specific person. It's about being vigilant and recognizing the potential pitfalls within these movements. It's time to have an honest conversation, folks.
Most of us feel discomfort when we think about pedophiles. But just like pedophiles, we are not responsible for our feelings. We do not choose them. But we are responsible for our actions, and we must make a decision. It is in our responsibility to reflect and to overcome our negative feelings about pedophiles and to treat them with the same respect we treat other people with. We should accept that pedophiles are people who have not chosen their sexuality and who, unlike most of us, will never be able to live it out freely if they want to lead an upright life. We should accept that pedophilia is a sexual preference.
Statistics indicate that there will be one or two of you who are struggling with some form of pedophilic interest. These people can't talk about their feelings because they know that they will be hated for it. I truly do believe that every person is longing for love at some point in their life. And what if this love that you really wish for will forever be impossible? That must be a really lonely situation to be in. Yes, from an emotional point of view, I can kind of understand that you would want to eliminate these people from society. However, it doesn't make sense. And that's because we're talking about biology. We're talking about a sexual orientation, something that we simply cannot change. And on top of that, every day new people are born with the same difficulty. So it's not practical to eliminate these people from society. They haven't done anything wrong.
Well, let me just take a moment to address what seems to be a rather disturbing topic that I've come across. Now, I must admit, I find it quite disconcerting that there are individuals out there who entertain the idea of engaging in inappropriate activities with minors. I mean, really, what is going on in your mind if that's even a thought? It's downright disturbing, and frankly, it raises serious concerns about the mental state of those who harbor such inclinations. Now, let me be perfectly clear, I don't care a whit about your justifications or what you think. In my book, anyone contemplating such actions is seriously messed up. And, to be brutally honest, the opinions of those who find themselves in such a morally reprehensible predicament are of no consequence to me whatsoever. You can dwell on your thoughts all day long, but the moment you decide to act on those disturbing impulses, well, let me tell you, the consequences should be severe, in my humble opinion. I'm not one to entertain excuses, and I certainly don't buy into the notion that certain individuals cannot control their predatory desires. I mean, seriously, are we expected to believe that someone's lack of control over their impulses should be accepted as a valid excuse? It's akin to suggesting that a predator can't help but assault others. Now, does that sound reasonable to you? Because, in my view, that's nothing more than a ludicrous attempt to mask criminal behavior. Let's be clear, there's no room for such excuses. The idea that one's deviant desires could be construed as a mere sexual preference is nothing short of absurd. We should not, under any circumstances, tolerate or normalize such behavior. It's imperative that we maintain a stance that unequivocally condemns any attempt to justify or downplay the severity of actions that harm others, especially when it comes to the well-being of innocent children. It's not a matter of preference, it's a matter of morality, decency, and safeguarding the most vulnerable members of